Okay, this is a remake of this video to explain what I did with my swordfish. This is the first screen. This is the mandatory calibration that you have to do when you fly board. As you see, the calibrated compass is not done because I'm not using the compass. The mixer for this airplane, the Swordfish, is an airplane VTEL with different thrusts. You can see it right here. It got a differential thrust, but you have to remove that if you don't want to use differential thrust. And the way to do it is by changing this value right here to 0. The airplane use in Servo 1 the stabilizer roll and the stabilizer roll in 2. That means that each aileron right here is actually independent, one channel per aileron. Then stabilized pitch and yaw, are the mix that you need in the tail for the elevator and the rudder. This one right here, the 50s. Now, channel 5, because I'm using Fat Shark head tracker, by default is 5 for pan and 6 for tilt. So I go straight to the board with RC5 and RC6, and the same for the other channels. So I can use the flight controller almost equal with the output of my radio. See this shot on motor 1 and motor 2. And these are all the channels available with the H743 from 1 to 10. If you, I have a 12 channel receiver, but actually when you set it up, you set it up with 10 channels. If you actually add an 11 channel right here, the flight controller will not work properly, and it will not even have any of these blue things right here. It will be a mess. So you cannot go to the 12 channels, only from 1 to 10 in my case, as far as I know. Now you see that all these changes right here, they're not in 1500 or 1270, is because the airplane actually, it was too wild in manual mode. So I restrict the travel of the servos, okay, for the ailerons, okay, so I have less deflection, and the minimum and the maximum and in the mid. Servo 3 and 4 the same. Servo 5, this is a very touching subject. Servo 5, you will see that the mid is 1455, and 1455 is because you have to adjust this number when you have a servo that is being modified and the potentiometer actually is no longer working, okay, um, because you mod the servo. So what happened in mid is that when you are out of the head tracker, the servo slowly will start moving left or right because this number, okay, and you won't be able to stop it, especially if you have a 360-degree servo. It will start tangling around the wires. So you got to make sure that when you press the button to stop or flip the switch to stop the um, pan to turn, then the servo pan will stop. Okay, so it will not tangle the wires. So and right here you will see that I have a rate of 10. This will actually, what it does right now is this number 10 will make the pan slower when you turn your head. It will not be a fast movement. It will slow it down. Like it was pretty much like it was a dampener. I don't know if I expressed myself correctly, but and then you have all the other servos, you know, in a different equal numbers because, you know, they're not being used for that. So, but the pan and tail, they have different numbers, okay? And you can see right here the servo 6, which is the tail servo. It got different numbers because that will be, this number right here is facing forward, okay? The altitude that you actually, or the angle that actually you're gonna put your servo in order to look forward when you're flying without head tracking, okay? And the 1600, it's the maximum that I have, the maximum servo travel for the servo not to hit the airplane when I'm looking down. Let's continue. Right here, I have this. They say do not touch it. The USB VCP, you don't touch it. The UR1, you don't touch it because if you need to communicate as an emergency with the flight controller, because you don't get communication, you can use UR1 to communicate it. So you don't touch this. This is a H743 V3 flight controller. So UR2 by default in the Matev website says that you have to put it in the GPS. You may be able to change it. In autopilot, it goes in a different place. But in Inav, it goes, UR2 is for the GPS. The UR3, I have it designated to MS display port. I'm using the DJI Air unit with the version 1 goggles using WTF OSD, and it works flawless. So you have to put it in MSP display if you are using the goggles 1 and the Air unit or Cadet Vista with OSD, WTF OSD. UR6 is by default for the serial port, serial RX, which is your receiver. In this case, I'm using Crossfire with the TX and RX connected in a UR6, and positive and negative. And that's all that you have to do. Let's continue. The configurations are almost default. I put a 7,000 capacity right here. This is what you can change, but so far I have no interest in this. I just put 7,000. I'm using a 4-cell 4200 milliamps battery Lion, but I put 7,000 right here, which 30% capacity will give me the warning, and 20% is critical. And when I'm flying, I know that I only have about 8 to 10 minutes max in that battery. I going by time. I'm not going by this. But actually, it works pretty good if I put it in 7,000. Because it says right here on the website that the current meter scale on the H743 is 150. So I'm not moving that. I got continuous stream, servo, and fixed wing activated. Eventually that will go away, and I remove it because the airplane flies straight and level and perfect. So the auto level will be removed, or it maybe stays, because sometimes when you have a change of CG, you put the battery a little bit forward or a little bit back. This will take care of those changes, I believe. So the airplane will fly straight and true if you have this activated. So any minor change of CG, when you put it in angle mode and auto level, I believe this will kick in, and the airplane will fly with the new trims due to the change of CG or weight. So it's a good thing to have, actually. Failsafe, I have it and return to home. These PIDs and this tuning is being done by autotune. So these are the ones, the PIDs that I end up after autotune. This screen is for an airplane that is flying absolutely correct. These are not just random settings. They are the ones that actually Inav pick up for the final. And you must do it you must do your auto trim and auto tune for your specific aircraft. As I say, this is only for my airplane. Yours can maybe differ, but for little if you use a swordfish. I went back because I have to show you that all this is default. That's default. And right here is when it's very important for you to change this at least to 4 in the mechanics tab. All this, and I'm going to go back. The idle throttle. This is the idle that I use, very mild idle before the auto launch. The airplane with 1100 will start the engines, okay, after I believe 10 seconds. And because I put right here 10 seconds, launch timeout, 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, the engines right here will start idling, and the elevator will go up. So after that, you are ready to throw it. So I give him 10 seconds with motors completely I'm sorry, wrong, totally wrong. This launch timeout is the time that after I throw it, the airplane will keep going for 10 seconds up, and then will go into any mode that you have it set. So 1100 is the idle throttle that I have when I lift the throttle, and after 20 seconds, the motors will go to 1100 after 20 seconds. Okay, the elevator after 20 seconds will go up, the motors will start, and then you throw it. The angle 45, the motor delayed 150. Now the launch throttle. The launch throttle, it's the one that actually, the throttle that it will go from this 1100 to 1700 when you throw it. And the way that I calculate this is very careful. I hold the airplane with the nose up, and I give him some throttle until I feel in my hands that the airplane become light, and that it will be a really, really good set, because it will be a little less but almost the same as a 1-to-1 ratio. So from that point you can go down if actually you have a wind, the torque roll on you, and you give them too much throttle, it was too much torque, the wind just roll on you, and you have failed takeoffs. So this is very important, especially in wings. In twins, tractors, this is really not that important. It will go ballistic up. So the climb angle, I have it in 18. And this is very interesting. 18 is a good number, especially if you flying in high winds. Okay, the airplane will go over 18 climb angle. It will go over because you have at least 16 miles or 15 miles headwind when you throw it. So the airplane will go ballistic up, and then the airplane will level at 18 degrees. The launch timeout, I got it in 10 seconds. You put 10,000, that means 10 seconds. The minimum throttle, I have it at 1200. I think these are the defaults, and this is the only ones that I change. 1600, which is when you fly the airplane and you look your amps, how much amps you drawing, you try to get it as looking at the amps, you try to get the airplane flying, okay, as low as you can before you stall, and then add a little bit to find out where the airplane is flying straight and level, but without drawing too many amps, because you are cruising. But the drawback of that is that if you have extremely high wind, headwind, and you don't have enough throttle, okay, you have to increase it because the conditions of the environment. So you click right here for allow manual throttle increase. So you can increase your throttle over the 1600, and that's what I believe and I'm doing. Everything right here is pretty much default. These are my return to home settings. and I got it at least. I want my airplane to come back to me, okay, and keep flying around the takeoff point. I'm not using the safe home or the track back distance because I'm flying in a very flat environment. I don't have no mountains. So this must be fabulous for the people that actually fly in mountains in Switzerland or South America where they have big mountains, but Ohio is flat. Nothing in programming. I'm not smart enough. I using Crossfire and TAER mode is a serial receiver, and I did not change anything right here. These are all defaults from Inav, which is fantastic. Now the modes, this is a little bit complicated for some people, but let me explain a little bit. Let me go back. Let's see. ARM, I got it in channel 8. So we have motor 1, motor 2, aileron 1, aileron 2, and elevator and rudder. Okay, so after the rudder, we have the pan and tilt because this airplane don't have flaps. So I'm using the channel 8, who will be the next one after the pan and tilt in Inav, okay, as my arm switch. So when I arm right here, the airplane will go into auto takeoff. If it will go from here to here, it will go to auto takeoff. From here to here, will still arm. That's all. Then I have angle mode. All the modes of flying, I got it in the 6 position switch of buttons of the TX16. Okay, so the good thing about it, if you have your radio calibrated properly, okay, the 6 position buttons will move in 6 positions consistently. So the key is to make sure that you have the 6 position switch or button calibrated in your radio, and then you use all those positions to use your modes. Like I have first, I got manual mode, okay, because I want to be able in an emergency to actually hit the first button and the airplane is mine manually. Then the second right here will be acro, which you don't check. You don't do anything. So button number 2 will be acro. Button number 3, okay, and you can see it's in the same channel, but because you can move the slider, okay. Button number 3, it will go in angle, okay. Button number 4 will go to nav cruise, okay. Same channel. Button number 5 will go in navigation altitude hold right here, okay. And the last button is my navigation return to home. They're all in channel 9, okay, and I have it to return to home. When I'm lazy and I want to come back, I just use the return to home and I start cruising and looking around my way back. Um, Now, let's see. This is gonna be a little bit difficult to, because I'm doing this on top of another video of the previous video. So we explained that the six. Now, as you can see, I have autotune. Autotune is in a 3-position switch. Okay, that is in channel 11. When the switch is up, it's not doing nothing. When it's down, and I'm sorry, in the middle, I have a voice command that says auto tune off. Right here, auto tune off, the voice command. When I flip the switch all the way down, it will say auto tune on or auto tune activated. So I know that I'm in auto tune. Auto level, it works the same way. When I turn the radio, he says auto tune. When it goes to the second, and the 3-position switch says auto tune off, and then when I go through the third, it says auto level on. So this is the OSD. I have Alt 1, okay, which is the OSD that I'm gonna activate. This right here is the default OSD, the one that have all the information that I need to fly. But when I switch to the third right here, okay, which you can see that is in channel 11 too. So auto tune is in channel 11 and the OSD is in channel 11. Why? Because when I switch to auto tune, immediately switch the screen to my to my second, or actually to my first alternative OSD, which is the numbers that I have for my PIDs. So all this right here is your regular flying default. That if the airplane even goes in failsafe, it will go right here, which it will have all your telemetry data on your screen. But when I switch to auto tune, okay, in the same channel 11, okay, then the airplane will go to the screen of the PIDs. So you will see what you're doing and if you have any progress. Now the beeper is attached to the same channel of the failsafe, okay, and the LEDs on and off in channel 12. So I got the waypoint in channel 11. If you remember channel 11, it was attached to the auto tune and it was attached to the OSD. So, but in this case, channel 11, when I switch it to the middle position, okay, which is still have the default OSD, okay, it will let me know. Right here, I have a voice command that says that this switch belongs to the waypoint. When I flip right here in channel 11 to the blue section, the airplane will enter and start his mission. Okay. If I flip it this way, okay, to the third position, it's nothing. But in reality, it is something. Okay. Which is the auto tune. Okay. Right here is the auto tune. Right here is the waypoint mission. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go forward. I may need to use the real video. Don't post this. So the waypoint, you can see that it's right here in channel 11, but this is not empty. This is being used in the same time, okay, that when I click fast, that or just go right here, I have in channel 11 the same, the autotune. This will go away after, definitely, the airplane is after the tune. So you don't need to do any auto tune anymore. The airplane will be fine. So I got LEDs on and off. Is self-explanatory. Right here will be off, right here will be on, and right here will be off. So I got two ranges in the same channel, channel 12. The beeper, I have it in channel 10, and the beeper is on the momentary switch, the spring load switch. Okay, when you actually hit it and hold it, he will start beeping, but you need to hold it. And the exception that you actually trigger with channel 10, like I do, the Failsafe. I trigger with the Failsafe with the momentary switch myself. And you can see it right here. Failsafe is in the beeper channel and with the same range, because as soon as you hit it, he will go to Failsafe, and the Failsafe is set up to return to home, so it will come back screaming in the air that he's in Failsafe. Okay, and you can take it out of Failsafe by just moving the sticks. Hold on a second. User 1 and user 1. Okay, user 1, this is where I have my fan, my cooling fan. Okay, because user 1 actually is a switch on the flight controller. Okay, and that switch cut power, or that switch will give you 9 volts, 5 volts, okay, depending how you set up your flight controller bridges, okay, which when you are solder your flight controller, there is a VSW, the pads that you have to solder, and that will give you 5 volts, 12 volts, 9 volts, and 9 volts, yeah, 12, 9, or 12, if I'm not mistaken. So you choose which one is the voltage that you need in that switch. So that switch is controlled by user 1, okay, and then you assign a channel. So if you have a fan, okay, and you want to turn it on, you have only positive and negative wires on that fan, right? So you put one in the negative and one in the video switch or voltage switch, VSW. So right there, when you start your aircraft, and this is controlled by a total separate switch that is not being used, or channel that is not being used by any of the other modes. And this one, you switch when it's in blue right here is off. Okay, so when you start the airplane and you start your radio, this thing right here will be right here in the left. The little point, the little blue point will be on the left. So it's off when you start everything, the engine, the motor, everything. When you initialize the aircraft, this will be off. Then you will fly, you will have no problems, but it takes too long to get GPS lock. So you flip this switch to the middle, and this 3-position switch, you flip it right here in the middle, okay, and the fan will start, okay, and cooling your air unit, okay, if you don't want to overheat the air unit. The other good use about using this fan is that if for any reason you crash and the battery is still on, okay, and you don't know where the airplane is, or you actually crash a little bit far away than where you are, and it's going to take you some time to get there, you will avoid, but you still have communication with the airplane, then you can flip this switch for the fan to start on, and then you can look for your airplane without worrying that your air unit may get ruined because of the overheat, okay, which is a $200 expense that don't need to get ruined. So by the time you get there, the battery is depleted because of the fan and the air unit, and the whole system actually is working. You don't have to worry about it, because if the battery went down, the air unit will shut down, so it will not get overheat anymore. So this is my personal insurance that I will not use a difficult to find air unit at these days, because they don't make it anymore and they're very expensive if you find it. So this is the GPS, and right here you actually when you see these blue things right here, you should have messages coming in and out. If you don't have, if your GPS is wired correctly, okay, you will have message. If you do not have message, you have to cross the TX and RX, okay, wires, until you get the messages coming in. Then you know that your GPS is hooked up properly. But that usually is switch the TX and RX wires if you don't have no numbers right here. I'm not using the magnetometer. I'm not using right now any missions, which is fantastic. These are my default screens because I'm using the DJI 1 goggles and the OSD of WTF and an air unit. Both are hack. Then I use the DJI WTF screen right here in the right, the video format, and I choose whatever I want. And as you can see, this is the default layout. If in the case of an emergency, I will have this screen coming out. I think it will come out in a failsafe when you are in a failsafe in the air. I got some LEDs, but let me go back. I did not click in the video the other screen, which I have right here, the OSD for the tune, the auto tune. But anyway, these are the sensor. You move the airplane. I start moving the airplane right here, so I can see that actually these sensors are working. I don't have anything for that. I didn't touch anything right here either. And then the CLI. And the CLI, I type diff all for you just to see which ones are my diff. These are pretty much the diff that these airplanes end up with. But right here is where this actually change. You see that says set align board 1800 and set align board yaw 1800. This is because this board is in the bottom of the aircraft, so it's upside down. So it's upside down on roll, and because the cables are facing the tail, and for me, I like them to face it forward, I have to do a yaw. So from the default, I turn it upside down and roll, okay, to have access to the pins, and yaw to have a straight shot to the cables, okay, that was attached to the battery. Let's continue. Let's see. We're almost in the end. And that was the end of the video that I made before, but this time explaining exactly what I did. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to comment. You can say whatever you want. You won't hurt my feelings. I will not feel offended, because I'm a person that actually like to learn from others people opinions, which in my case is an idea, no matter how stupid, it may be the right answer for your problem. So you can comment and say whatever you want, and I will not feel offended in any way. So I just like to share it, and I'm sorry for the video. It's not like Joshua Barwell or Lee Painless 360. I'm not a YouTuber. So thank you guys, and happy flying.